listening to the Motherhood Experience, a podcast where you are part of the conversation with moms, for moms, and by moms. Let's jump into this episode with me, your host, Val Kleppen. Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Motherhood Experience podcast. You are in for a little bit of a treat today. Today, we're switching gears here at the Motherhood Experience podcast. I was interviewed by my 13-year-old daughter, Haley. She hosted this episode. She thought of questions that she wanted to ask me about her and my relationship and my views on mothering her as a unique up-and-coming teenage daughter. And so she thought of the questions, and then we sat down and had a conversation about them. I think it was different for both of us. I think this was some territory that neither of us had ventured in before, but it was very sweet, and I'm glad that it is recorded for all of time. Now we can look back on it, and I hope that you enjoy as you sit in and hear this conversation between my daughter Haley and myself.
Welcome everybody to the Motherhood Experience podcast. In case you hadn't noticed, I am not Val, I am her daughter Haley, and today I am going to be the interviewer and she will be the interviewee.
Yes.
So, I guess we'll jump right in to what is your favorite thing about me?
I would have to say my favorite thing about you also doubles probably as, I won't say my least favorite thing, but one of the more challenging traits of yours from time to time, and that would be your vast imagination. You are very creative. You're an excellent writer, an up-and-coming actress. But also you have a tendency to let your mind really run with scenarios that will never be or happen. And then we get asked every 5 minutes some days, what would you rather? Would you rather ride on a dragon that only has one wing? Or no, I've been up since 5:30 and I haven't had any coffee. Please stop talking to me kind of thing. It's one of my favorite things about you for how creative you are. Also, sometimes it's just you're so creative at the wrong time of the morning for me.
So then, what have been some of your favorite things about me in various stages of my past childhood?
Well, when you were a baby, you were born weighing 2 pounds, 12 ounces. We brought you home from the hospital weighing 4 pounds, 8 ounces. And so you were just itty bitty for a long time. You still kind of are. But it's true. Clothes shopping for you is really hard.
Oh, yeah.
I just loved you being so teeny, and the NICU nurse would say on more than one occasion that she's just a big girl in a little girl's body, and that's always been the case. You've always been very confident and forthright, no matter the age. You think you have certain entitlements and rights. And you understand so much, so it's fun to joke around with you and crack jokes because you get them, you understand them, they're not over your head. So that's one fun thing. I remember when you were a toddler and we would be getting ready for work in the morning and we'd wake you up to get ready to go to daycare, and you would just say rocking chair because you wanted to go sit and snuggle in the rocking chair. That was always one of it still is my favorite thing, is to snuggle with my kids. There were also it was always on a Saturday morning, always when we were trying to sleep in. We had to wake you up early every day of the week. But on Saturdays, we would just hear, I want yogurt. And I was so angry. I remember one time your daddy turned to me and was like, you can't get mad at her. She doesn't know. And I'm like, she's going to learn. Us not responding, she's going to learn. And he's like, no, she's just going to keep yelling because she doesn't know you're mad. She thinks you can't hear her. So then we had to have a little talk with you and say, you don't need to scream at us when you wake up in the morning. You just need to say, Mommy, Daddy, And then from that point on, I mean, you understood right away. Then we would just hear, Mama, Daddy, Mama, Daddy, instead of, so you've always been quick to learn. You're a quick learner in most respects. Did I answer that question?
Yeah. No matter how many times I hear that yogurt story, it's always going to be hilarious. I just want to say. But you mentioned confidence.
Yeah.
Do you think that confidence is a good thing or a bad thing?
I think confidence is a wonderful thing. I think arrogance is a bad thing, but I think confidence is necessary, and I'm glad that you have it, and I'm glad that you are confident in your abilities and your talents and your skills. Sometimes in conversations with your younger brother, I'll say, especially sometimes with your father and I, a little bit of arrogance slips in there now and then. But I mean, any parent-child relationship is going to have that. You're absolutely normal in that. And there's always just a boundary to be found between parent and child as to what constitutes confidence and what constitutes anything beyond that. But I love that you have confidence, and I hope that you always do rather than second guess yourself.
Cool. So, what are some things that you wish you'd known as a new parent when you first had me?
When we first had you, first of all, you started sleeping through the night, even though you were a preemie. You started sleeping through the night at like 3 months. Is that right? March? Yeah. By Father's Day, you were born in March, and by Father's Day, you were sleeping through the night. And I made all of our baby food. I was that mom, and I would make food, and I didn't want anybody else to feed you their food because their food wasn't my food. And you were you were just such a good baby that I was like, man, we kind of hit the jackpot. I don't know that I wish I would have known anything because I don't feel like we really struggled with you as a baby. I guess I would have, like, I maybe would not have been so demanding of others, wash your hands 47 times before you hold my baby. I wish I would have known about mastitis.
What's that?
Oh, that's when your milk ducts become demon possessed and you spike a fever and your ducts clog. And I got mastitis, I think 9 times with you, which is unheard of. I was also like, I don't know, I wish I would have had a little more education on the whole breastfeeding thing. I was kind of a dairy factory and I didn't know what to do with it all. And I got mastitis 9 times. It always cleared up on its own, except for once. Once I had to go seek treatment for it because it didn't clear up, but it's brutal. It's brutal.
Okay. I'm making a note of that. I don't even know how to spell it. I'm just going to guess there.
Okay.
So then, me being a good baby like that, did it surprise you when Heston was a little bit harder?
Oh my goodness. There were so many different dynamics between you and Heston because, you were a girl, he was a boy. Every time you undid his diaper, pee just went everywhere. I'd never had a baby pee on their face before, but yeah, here my son was gold medalist in that. I didn't want to compare you as babies because I knew that it was going to be different anyway. You and your brother were very different as babies, as toddlers. Today, you're very different. So it's not an issue of comparison. And all of the challenges have taught us all things. we have all learned from them. So I don't know. I don't even remember what you asked me, honestly.
Oh, okay.
What was it?
It was, did Heston surprise you?
Oh, surprise. Well, there were lots of surprises. I guess that answers it. There were lots of surprises.
So do you feel like you've adapted how you parent based on my particular tendencies and traits?
Largely, in many ways, yes. Not to say that, we've changed our convictions or our moral grounds or anything like that based on your personality, but just our approach to some things, maybe I'd say. Certainly true in homeschooling over the years. We're always changing things to try to better suit interest and abilities. And so I would say most definitely, yes. It's not because you've been difficult and we've had to change things to try to, and it's also not because we've had to acquiesce to anything. It's just to better foster our relationship with you and your experience growing up through life, and to teach you as much as we can too.
So what are some of the things that you started out doing and then changed how you did it or stopped doing it or something like that over the years?
I think lately in our recent history, changing how we communicate expectations to you instead of just yelling at you if you don't meet them, actually communicating them to you first. Or if something happens, instead of saying like, we don't do it this way, we go to you and say, so we're clear on what we expect. This is what we expect, da 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 da. This is what it was or what we found. And do you see how that doesn't meet the expectations? Just setting that clear from the beginning is something I think I've changed recently. And just physically speaking, when we notice that you were having like physical, these deep, deep red circles under your eyes and just kind of not being enthusiastic about things and super emotional, sometimes overly anxious. And then we kind of connected that with gluten and store-bought baked goods. Basically, if I make them from home, you have to consume a lot more before those physical signs start showing. But you can definitely tell, like if we're gone for the weekend or something, it happens a lot quickly. But also if I make them at home, it seems like it's just the physical stuff, like the eye thing again, but not so much the emotional or anxiety like it used to be. I know.
I didn't know that. You should have told me that.
Well, surprise! I'm telling you and everybody else at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah. Mind blown.
I guess my body is just picky about its baked goods.
Could be. Another podcast episode for another time would be probably the effects of processed foods on all of our bodies, but we'll save that one.
Okay, I have another question that I didn't tell you I was going to ask because I didn't know if you'd let me ask it or not.
Oh, okay.
When can I wear makeup?
Oh, that's, I'm not sure. Part of it will be as, a reward for displaying responsibility and accountability. So it's not necessarily a time thing so much as a privilege that is earned.
Okay.
And also when you can pay for it yourself.
That's fair, I guess. Oh, okay. So what physical, mental, and or emotional traits do you think I got from you?
Oh, goodness. Not many physical, I don't think. I think you're more you got more physical traits from your daddy's side of the family. I was a beanpole kid growing up though, and you dropped your pencil. You are definitely also a beanpole kid. Honestly, physically, I don't think we look alike or share physical traits. Do you?
Not really.
Yeah, I don't think we do. Emotional or mental? I mean, you've got a killer sense of humor. Which is pretty obvious. It came from me. You're pretty, I don't know, because it's not like, I mean, your father is also quick-witted. He's also very intelligent. So you got the best of both worlds, I think, from us. But you definitely look like his side of the family.
And Travis.
Oh yeah, your cousin, yeah. Yeah, you guys very much look alike, yes.
So what are some ways that you've parented me the same or different than how you were parented?
I parent you, I think, very differently from how I was parented. And I think Papa and Grandma would agree. We are not a sleepover family. And
Sadly.
I went to sleepovers growing up, but yes, we are not a sleepover family. I cook all of our meals, just about, and I'm very particular about the ingredients that we source and the meals that we consume and that's different from how I grew up. I don't know. I would say there are like similar things but I just do them in a different way, I guess, as far as like even in being raised in a home of faith. I was raised in a home of faith, you're raised in a home of faith, but it has just become very different for you than what it was for me. It's not positive or negative, it's just different. Yeah, I ate a lot of junk food, and I don't let you consume any, really, if I can avoid it. That's one thing that's very different. Also, I was public schooled, you're homeschooled. That's a really big difference. And I don't know. I think I just really have noticed, even between my sister and I. My sister and I were raised by the same parents, but we don't parent like our parents raised us, and we parent differently from one another. So between or among, I don't know the proper grammar term, among my sister, myself, and my parents, all three of us of those groups parent differently from one another. So you'll parent differently than you were raised. I mean, it will be wrong, but it will be different from how you were raised. And I think, you'll take things that you like and you'll insert them into your family. You'll avoid altogether things you didn't like, and then you'll call me and say, "What have I done?" And then Sundays you'll call me and say, "I figured it out. You were wrong." And I'll hang up on you. Not really. So yeah, I don't know. I'm sure you've heard stories of us growing up. What things have you heard that have been different?
A lot about cooking. Heard a lot about that.
Yeah.
I feel like you and Auntie Veronica were kind of wilder
Then what? Or who?
than Heston and me.
Well, okay, for the record, I was never wild. And I'm not just saying that to like save face for me. You ask any one of the previous guests who knew me at that point in my life, you ask Tiffany, she'll tell you I was not wild.
You used to chase her around and sit on her.
My sister?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what siblings do. That's not wild. That's just, I was establishing my authority as the oldest child. She wouldn't do what I said.
Think I should start sitting on Heston?
No, I don't think you'd be able to.
That's probably true.
Yeah. My sister has weak ankles. She's easy to just get right down.
Oh, I have wink ankles too.
Yeah, wink ankles. I haven't heard that condition before.
Anyway.
Uh-huh.
Are there ways that you parent differently concerning boys?
From you? Like I parent your brother differently from you?
No, like boys that aren't in our family associated with me. Like, are there things that you were allowed to do that I'm not?
Oh.
Yeah.
Goodness me. You mean like relationships?
Yeah.
No, I was never allowed to do anything.
Oh.
No, it was like there were very hard and fast rules and expectations that boyfriends were not just, flavor of the month kind of thing. It was a serious committal based relationship. That was the expectation, I think.
But were you like allowed to kiss and hold hands?
No.
You weren't?
No.
Oh. I just learned something. Okay. What are some of the best things and some of the challenges of parenting a teenage girl?
Having conversations about kissing and holding hands would be one of them, I think. Oh, it just got so warm in here. Yeah, I think really for me, the challenge would be I want to do right by you in raising you to be an independent, well-rounded, educated, confident young woman but also you're still the girl who screamed at me from her crib for yogurt. And so you come to me with questions about things that I feel like are grown-up things, and I want to answer you, but also I don't want you to grow up. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely a challenge. Things like relationships is a challenge. Driving. You're very excited
I am very excited
to learn how to drive. And I was too. Driving is like you're taking everyone's life in your hands. And as a teenager, I was like, I will figure it out. Just trust me.
Exactly.
And then several insurance claims later, I didn't figure it out. I have since. And I do remember even some of my friends saying like, oh, you drive like a grandma. And it's like, well, I've had one too many accidents to be aggressive out there. And now I've got, usually the most precious cargo in with me whenever your daddy lets me drive, which is almost, it's not often. If he's in the vehicle with me, he would rather drive. And I probably would rather he drive, but I do enjoy driving. However, I'm rambling. When I was a teenager, it was a different perspective. Being the parent of a teenager, it's like, whoa, let's, pun intended, tap the brakes on this and slow down because too much is happening too fast.
Well, I'm planning on going slow.
Good.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. But was one of the insurance claims the grasshopper
What?
on the
You're
windshield?
breaking up. I can't hear you. You're breaking up. Must be coming into a tunnel. I'm losing you. No, that wasn't it.
Okay.
I don't think that was enough to claim. So we didn't submit that to insurance. I just had to pay to replace my windshield. A lot of money.
I think you should tell your audience that story now.
I think not.
What if I told them?
You weren't there.
I know, but I've heard you tell it enough times.
Okay, let's see how many details you leave out.
Okay. You were sitting in your car.
Okay, first of all, you've already started too late. You have to explain that it was the middle of summer and the car was sitting in the hot, blazing sun all day.
Oh, so it has to be like how I would write a story.
No, that's an important fact of the story.
Everybody, it was a blazing hot summer day and the car had been sitting in it all day.
There's that confidence. It's an important fact of the story because the hot, blazing sun softened the material.
Oh.
Right. See?
Okay. So anyway, she was sitting in her car, and there was a grasshopper on the windshield. Was it inside or outside?
Outside. It was not inside. I would have set the car on fire.
Okay. It was outside. And she felt the need to hit the windshield with her palm.
No. Okay. See, I wanted to scare the grasshopper off the windshield. And I did not want to turn the wipers on because smeared grasshopper is really gross. So I thought if I just tap the windshield with my palm, it will be like, oh, I'm not welcome here. I'm going to hop away. And when I tapped the windshield with my palm, it was like Hulk smash. And
insert glass breaking.
There was a definite star pattern in the windshield. And I just remember with my palm up there, I closed my eyes and I said, I'm going to open my eyes and that will not have just happened. And I opened my eyes and the star crack was still there.
Oh,
but the grasshopper did get scared away. That's the important. I was successful. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, but I don't feel like we've talked about the good parts of parenting a teenage girl. We talked mostly about the challenges so far, so.
Well, all the rest is good. Everything I didn't talk about that's a challenge is good.
Oh. Okay.
Like what specifically are you thinking? Maybe I should ask you questions. What do you think are the good parts of being a teenage girl with a parent like me?
There's plenty of them, but I gotta think.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, I like that you like support me in my acting and writing endeavors and stuff like that, and like you take raising me seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Like you want me to grow up and be a mature, feminine, skilled woman.
True.
And we need to work on skills in the kitchen still.
Also true.
But at least I can make no-bake cookies.
Yes. But it's 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, not 1 cup.
But the cup ones are better.
They were better, and they were like very filling. Just 1 cookie was like a meal.
There are no mistakes, only happy accidents.
Happy accidents. That was a very happy accident. But that used a lot of peanut butter.
It used a lot of peanut butter. Do I get to talk about challenges too, or do I just have to stick with the things?
This is your show.
Okay.
You take it where you want to take it.
I think it's challenging being a teenager in so many ways.
Yeah. You couldn't pay me enough to do it again. I refuse.
There is drama.
Always.
There is physical changes.
Yes. There are.
Hey, I'm the writer here.
Uh-huh. So's your mother.
Oh, yeah. There's another thing. Oh, yeah. And then there's just like, when you're a teenager, there are certain boundaries that feel very confining. And then bad things happen when you stretch.
Like consequences?
Yeah.
Parental consequences or circumstantial consequences?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't like that part of it. Sometimes I'm like, oh, remember when I was 6 and the world was beautiful and there were no problems ever?
Yeah, and you would just sit and stare at yourself, your reflection in
the oven.
In the oven.
and sing Frozen.
Everywhere.
Oh, yeah, that's why I sat in front of the oven.
Yeah, so you could see yourself.
Yeah, I was Elsa and that one was Anna. Or maybe it's the other way around. I can't remember. But one of them was...
Oh.
Yeah, and so this one would talk to that one and then that one would talk to this one.
I see.
Yeah, that's why I had to see my reflection.
Okay, I don't buy it, but okay.
I remember distinctly.
Well, I mean, and thus was birthed the obsession with wanting to see yourself all the time, I guess. Once you figured that out.
Okay.
What else? What maybe I don't want to open this can of worms.
Oh dear.
What do you wish your parents did differently, if anything?
I don't know. There's simple things like I wish I could have the computer in my room. Because when I write, then Heston's like, I want a screen. Can I watch TV? And then the TV completely distracts me. And even when I sit... No. Okay.
I'm starting to run away with that one. I get it.
Yeah. And I feel like there's more, but I can't remember anymore.
Do you feel like you have an understanding, though, of boundaries that are set and then later expanded once responsibility and accountability are shown?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, but then there's the struggle of like, I feel like I'm responsible and accountable enough now to have that boundary pushed back, and it hasn't happened yet.
Need I remind you about the chickens having no food or water? Exactly.
I honestly don't know that I would say there's much that I wish you didn't do or wish you did do. There's probably something, but I can't think of it right now.
Well, that's good enough for me. So what do you think hosting your first podcast?
It was different than I expected. I expected to be more like a charismatic TV show host than I was. But
you'll get there.
Yeah. Yep.
Well done. Well, those were intense questions.
Except for the makeup one. That wasn't super intense.
Depends on your point of view. But yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for coming on here and grilling me about my motherhood to my teenage daughter.
Thank you for having me.
But there's no other teenage daughter I would rather have grill me on my own podcast than you.
Good.
There you have it. You want to say thank you or goodbye to anyone before we close up here?
Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of the Motherhood Experience podcast. To join our exclusive TME community, head on over to themotherhoodexperience.com/learn more. Be sure to follow the Motherhood Experience on Facebook and Instagram, and please leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, leave us a comment below, and we'll catch you next time.